a couple things that they claim that we stand for once we talk about a foreign policy of what the founders believed in. Matter of fact, it was the foreign policy that we as Republicans ran on in the year 2000 because we condemned Bill Clinton for his involvement in Somalia and Kosovo. We said that we as Republicans wouldn't be involved in nation building. So it is not strange to the Republican Party to have this position. But it is very important that we restate this position. But they frequently will say to us, oh, you're the crowd that are the isolationists. That is not true. There's a big difference between non-intervention and minding our own business and isolating ourselves from the world. Today we're on the verge of being isolated from the world because we don't use diplomacy. We have sanctions on countries. We threaten countries. Unfortunately, we have two choices as the American people. We either go over and throw our weight around and threaten them with force, and if they don't do our bidding, we start to bomb them. And then if they do our bidding and obey what we request, then we end up giving them foreign aid. So I would say there's a third option. Why not just be friends with the people of the world? We are too often taxed to send money over, and we use money to destroy countries and blow up bridges. Then we're asked as taxpayers to take our money and rebuild their bridges. How about rebuilding our bridges here at home and taking care of the American people first? Because we are strict constitutionalists and believe that we shouldn't go to war only under the conditions of a declaration of war as the Constitution states. Some will argue that, well, that doesn't sound like you're supporting the troops. Well, you know, if you didn't go to war, when the war is undeclared, just think of how many of our troops would be unharmed, uninjured, and not killed. We would be a lot better off, and I believe our national defense would be a lot stronger. Yesterday, or at the end of the month, in January, the reports for the presidential campaign had to come out and where the donations come from. And somebody did a survey, and it came out, it was on the internet yesterday, and it tells us what the military personnel are thinking and where they're sending their money. And it turns out that if you add up all the donations that went to all the Republican candidates, excluding myself, plus Obama and Hillary Clinton, if you add those all up, it's less than what we receive from the military. When we volunteer or called to duty, as I was in the 1960s, we try our best to do our duty. But we also have to believe that we go and we get involved for the defense of our Constitution. And therefore, if we argue the case that we should be very cautious and protect and honor the lives of every individual who might be exposed, why wouldn't they be willing to defend that individual who best defends the Constitution? You know, in 1913, when they introduced the idea of the Federal Reserve System, they also did something else in 1913 that has not served us well. And that is the introduction of the notion of the income tax. I think it's time to get rid of the income tax in its entirety. The first question I get asked so often from the media is, what are you going to replace it with? And you know, my simple answer is, let's not replace it with anything. Let's replace it with the notion that it's your money and you get to spend it. Maybe you'll work harder to keep your money. Maybe you would have enough money to buy medical care and the other things, be able to buy a house and all these things that you're denied, because right now, middle-class America is being undermined through our inflationary system and our tax system. And the system of economic policy we have here has pushed our good jobs out overseas. Our good jobs are gone. Productivity is down. Our wealth is based on debt, and we're in a lot of trouble because of it. So this is the reason we don't need to tinker with the system. We don't need to tinker with our foreign policy and move troops here and there. What we need to start doing is bringing our troops home from around the world. That means not only from the Middle East, but why do we have troops in Korea? They've been there for 50, 60 years. Why do we have troops in Japan? Why don't they defend themselves? Why do we have to pay for it? Why do we have to have troops in Europe? We need that money back here at home. The military personnel needs to be spending their income and their salaries here at home, helping our economy. But economic prosperity is conceivably available to us if we do the right things. Though we face difficult times, if we would only follow the rules, the rule of law and the Constitution, have a sensible foreign policy, we don't have to close down any of the benefits to the people who have become dependent on the benefits here at home. For the long term, I would like to see the day cut enough spending overseas where we can offer the next generation a chance to get out of the Social Security system totally and completely. I want to make sure, okay, it does seem to be working here, okay. No, that is what we need to do. Come up with a different system where we can go through a transition. We can do that with monetary policy. We can re-legalize the Constitution, allow gold and silver to circulate against the paper money. So there's a lot of things that we can do, but if we don't change our way, we will have a radical change thrown on us because there will be a collapse of the system, a collapse of the monetary system. Paper money has never worked throughout history. It always self-destructs. And gold money, silver money has lasted for the ages. Thousands of years it has been used, and we have to realize this. But I think that is what's happening this year. I think people are starting to realize, especially from the young people. The young people have joined our campaign and have shown the interest, not only here at home, but around the country, because they know and understand that they're getting a bad deal. They're inheriting a war and the obligations there. They're inheriting an entitlement system of 50 or 60 or even $70 trillion, a Social Security system that doesn't have any money. No wonder the young people will say, wow, this is an opportunity. We like this type of change, and we're going to support it. And I'm delighted that the undermining of personal liberties is also something that goes along once you have a war going on. There's always an excuse, there's a war, so we're supposed to sacrifice our liberties. Right now we have a perpetual war. We're told the war is going to last forever and nobody knows what's going to end. This war on terrorism, you have to realize terrorism is a tactic, it's not a country, and you can't have a perpetual war on a tactic. That is used to put fear into the hearts and minds of the people so the people are willing to sacrifice their freedoms. That is what we don't need. We never have to sacrifice any part of liberty to be safe and secure. But this is what has been happening. It has been undermined. Now we have warrantless searches. We have now secret courts and secret trials. We have secret prisons. We have torture. We have the challenge now to habeas corpus. This is undermining what the revolution did for us. That is why we fought the British. And now we're doing it to ourselves. We in the military and in government take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.